This is Fred Beck Fighting, proudly sponsored by Empire Fight Store. I'm joined by Deji's manager over Zoom, Liam Chivers. Liam, it's good to see you again, mate. How you?
You too, mate. Thanks for calling me. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. Busy. I'm up here at uni, and so far I haven't actually done any work. We've got a load of work set in class, like homework to do, and the teacher had a go at me.
Right.
None of it. I've got
That's
to
why
do
he
with.
always messaged me at 6 or 7 p.m. He goes, "When can you talk today?" I'm like, "Well, I could have talked for the last 9 hours, but now I'm a bit busy." But yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I always forget to message people. My memory is starting getting worse and worse. It used to be really, really good. It's like names nowadays. I always get people's names, but never remember. But I used to know like a small amount of people. I was really good at it. I got everyone. But now I know a few more people. I do I do tend to forget. But let's just go straight into it. Deji was
Sure.
Mayweather. Interview Daily. I don't know if I asked him, but he didn't say how the fight came around, how the fight
Yeah.
brought into place. Can you tell me?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, gosh, it's been a long road with Dubai actually in that region for a while. So way back when I did KSI Logan 2 and took it to DAZN, obviously big success. In just before COVID, really. If you remember, I then did Gib and did the Gib Jake Paul fight in the January. That's a different story for another day. That was a fun one. But as soon as that finished, if you remember, it was like the 30th of January. I think it was like 2 weeks later, COVID hit, and suddenly the zone as an option went off the map for a while because they lost. Obviously, there's no, COVID hit, their budgets got smashed, and it was like, okay, well, we can't do live events now. Matchroom had to go and do their own thing back in their garden, if you remember that summer, and boxing went on hold. So the whole point of the end of the Gib Jake fight was, okay, I need to at least be preparing to find the best deal in the world for KSI Jake, because I know now DAZN is probably not going to be a good option, and they were the best at the time. So it was like, okay, I need to. I've always been trying to make network and contacts way back then to make these deals as big as possible for KSI, of course. But obviously, after his music took off massively after his fight, and then COVID hit, it was like, okay, he's gone into the studio, he's doing music, fights are off for now anyway, we can't arrange anything. But I still kept working in the meantime on contacts, and in particular that region, because obviously there was whisper of, I can't remember when the timeline back then, but obviously there was talk of Joshua and other fights happening out in that region. So I was trying to find the same contacts to do the same sort of thing. And I did, and it's a real jigsaw out there in Dubai. So everyone claims to know someone in the royal family who can influence someone in the tourist board to sign off a budget to spend millions on something which isn't going to make any money. So that it's finding those right people who aren't just trying to be sort of middlemen who are trying to sort of hopefully be involved in something like that, and actually the decision makers. Anyway, so it came back round really. I got this has happened pretty quickly, actually. It was about a month ago. Um, it was actually as we were getting to the latter stages, last couple of weeks of the Gib McBroom fight when this all started coming around. So it was all pretty busy at the same time. I started getting involved with this, and we had obviously the McBroom fight coming up with Gib. And so I got a contact from someone in boxing who just said to me, do you remember earlier in the year when Mayweather was meant to fight in Dubai, but it got cancelled because someone in the royal family passed away, and they cancelled that weekend's sort of events and sport, a bit like what happened with the Queen with the football and everything, out of respect for mourning. So his fight, he was meant to fight somebody in March in Dubai. And he was still under contract with that same promoter, which was Global Titans, for a fight. And then they've always been considering who he should fight when. Were they going to cancel it altogether? And I got talking to them via contact and just put a few names together, really, and talked about our world. Obviously he's doing these exhibitions and why it should be with one of our guys. And that's really where it started. So it was a real short list of, obviously JJ's got his thing going on. Gib was coming up to the McBroom fight anyway, and they would decide on anybody, and they needed a decision before that fight. But so Gib was put forward, and Deji. That was it. There's a couple of names talking around, but those are the two I really pushed. But timing was a bit bad for Gib. Obviously, he was going to go then into fight week, and he couldn't be thinking about contracts and future fights, albeit Mayweather. So I did tentatively mention it to him, and he's like, "Well, yeah," but as it came around, they just couldn't wait to see his fight result before they needed to make decisions. And so I said, "Well, you've got to pick Deji then." I think they had a whole host of names of people they wanted to shortlist, from celebrities to other former boxers and other influencers as well. So I just gave them the pitch for both the guys, and obviously they loved Deji, and they loved his content, his numbers, you know, all of the right things. And it was a case then of, would Floyd approve the opponent? And he did straight away. Loved him, loved Deji, thought it was a great idea. Loved the storyline we gave him about the progression through the puncher's chance, you know, the strength, you know, that sort of storyline. It seemed to work well. But of course, it's not just Deji, it's the community around him, isn't it? It's us, it's you, it's his brother, it's everybody in this. And you've seen, even though Deji did, you know, his announcement post on Monday, which had, you know, several million, you know, many million impressions, but it's the way it's amplified, isn't it? Everybody reports on it, everybody shares that asset, everybody clips it, everybody talks about it, and it's like a virus, isn't it? The way that viral things go, and that's why it's called viral, isn't it? But that's so that's what happens with someone like a Deji or a Gibb or a KSI or the Pauls or anything like this in our world. So they loved that, and I sort of planned that out and said, this should be what happens. People will lose their minds over it, and therefore it's automatically just going to blow up. And he saw that, yeah, talked to his team. We're not dealing directly with this team because they're just in the same position as us. They're just a fighter, as you know, two management teams. Global Titans are the promoter in this. We're not working with Mayweather Promotions, but that was quite that. I'd say then the contract went back and forward very easily. We actually ended up using a contract that I've used before, and they agreed to a few changes, and the terms went back and forward pretty quickly. The budget was the budget, because it's the budget was the fixed, the fee was pretty you know, we tweaked a little bit on pay-per-view, but there wasn't much wiggle room there. It was basically, this is what we've got. It's take it or leave it, or we'll choose another opponent. So it was a little bit of that, but we managed to get our, you know, our terms to protect Deji's rights, you know, things like that, the different promotional side of things, and the assets, and, you know, all the bits and pieces, warranties, indemnities, all that, escrows added in, everything we could do to protect Deji going into this. And obviously, it's more than just the money; it's the progression, it's the one-off opportunity. So yeah, the negotiations went up to that point pretty well. And yeah, got the job done and signed. I think it was signed in Gibb fight week, actually.
Oh, so it's signed quite a long time ago then.
Yeah. Well, it may have been actually we agreed it terms, and then I think the contract was maybe the following week or two. Yeah, the following week.
How did Keemstar find out about it?
Find about, well, people were leaking it from inside Dubai. So they had, I think it's always, the leaks always seem to come from the venues, you know. This used to happen with KSI Logan as well. The Staples Center staff who were sending the assets ready to put their ticketing announcements and bits and pieces on their schedules, or whoever sort of books the venues, then it always comes from the venues. So there was someone, it was either, we thought, oh, it's someone from Coca-Cola Arena who's leaking this, or it's one of the designers who are working on the posters. And you know, I'd been sent a lot of posters back and forward and assets, and sending them, you know, imagery of Deji and how it would work, and mood boards and things like that, like you do when you're giving feedback on all that stuff. And then suddenly there was I got sent a mock-up of the potential poster, which is almost as it is now. And then suddenly I saw this other asset somebody had posted. Oh yeah, this is the fight poster. It was nothing to do with it, but it was on the mood board. It had never been sent anywhere, but it was on the mood board. So someone in that design team who was working on the graphics had seen it and sent it. And then it wasn't Keemstar who found that. It was I think it was an Indian kid in Dubai who was working in around that. He leaked it, and I saw it and I thought, he's right. But this was before it was signed. It wasn't signed. It wasn't agreed at that point. And the things he was saying weren't quite right. But there were a couple of little moles who can't keep their mouths shut, and so yeah, the leaks happened. And then the people who then started getting hired to help out on the event, sort of freelance people, I think then they had to start talking to a few people to pull in more people, and then it just got a little bit out of control, the amount of people who knew about it. And then everyone knows someone in that space. So I think Wade found out from one person because he asked me, and he already seemed to know a bit about it. And then I think Keemstar just sees rumor immediately and jumps on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be quite frustrating because you do want to drop a bomb almost whenever it goes crazy. But I think a lot of people kind of slightly knew about it beforehand, but then I guess in the end it still did go pretty far when it got announced. But how many? I asked Daily questions. He didn't have a. I don't think he had a straight answer for them. So I don't think he's been told yet. But
He was right, by the way, but he's probably thought he shouldn't be telling you.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough for Daily. He's got to protect himself. But how many ounces are the gloves going to be?
He was right on what he said to you as well.
He didn't answer that question, did he?
He did. He said it'll either be this or it might be this.
Oh, you watched the interview though, Liam?
Yeah, I saw the interview. Yeah, I watched it last night. Oh, look, it's not a 10-ounce gloves, but not much more than that. It's not a pro fight, but it's going to be 8 rounds.
In 2-minute rounds.
Probably 2 minutes round.
Yeah. 2 minute rounds. Okay.
I've just said it. I'm like, Daly already said it. Yeah, 8 twos and 12 or 14.
What I found quite interesting, I thought this morning, I don't know why I didn't ask Daly at the time, is Deji told, did you guys not go through this with Daly at all? Because Deji told Daly on the phone that I'll be fighting Floyd Mayweather. Did no one run this through Daly at all?
No. It's for Deji to tell him in training. I'm not going to, when I tell Deji, it's like he can tell people when he wants. Don't forget when I told Deji it was in discussion, it wasn't signed. It wasn't a definite thing. Like Deji said in his video, I can't believe this is actually happening until it happens or until it's actually announced and I actually see Floyd Mayweather mention it. So until that point, he obviously has to tell Daly this might happen as early as possible, but I left it up to him when he told people. He obviously told Leon as well. And then, so I didn't need to, I'm obviously in touch with Daly and Leon now. As soon as it's signed, it's like, right, boom, into gear. Let's get it all sorted and let's keep everyone at the loop of what's going to be happening with promo and press conferences. And every day just updating people on everything from flights to, promo plans to a few little things we've got up our sleeves and promo and bits. But yeah, Daly didn't need to know really until it was actually a done thing. But obviously, Deji's in training with him anyway, and he's going to tell him. It's not for me to just show off and tell everyone. It's Deji's news, isn't it? So I tell Deji, and he can tell anyone he wants. Then
it would have been quite funny if Deji just didn't tell Daly at all until it was announced.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? No, I mean, Daly and Leon were obviously going to be the two, but I did want him not to tell too many people because we were trying to get some sort of leak lid on it, even though it was out there and it was true, but people couldn't quite believe it, so we got away with the leaks a little bit.
And have you got a broadcaster for the event?
No, they're working on that still. Whether it's a white label platform, whether Floyd gets Showtime involved for America, Fight TV rest of the year. There's a few options on the table. Usual setup.
And I don't like to ask about money in many instances. I don't think I've ever done it before, but you kind of got you this time around because of Floyd not paying Logan Paul. I take it you won't have an issue with that this time around.
Well, we've agreed an escrow and it's due to be set up in the next 2 weeks. So we've started that process, and that does take a week or two because it's like another contract. You have to agree the terms upon why and wherefore and how the money is released, i.e. what has to happen and not happen for it to be released or not. So we're waiting for it'll have to be a local escrow company in that region. Unfortunately, we've dealt with American ones, we've dealt with UK escrow companies. We've never dealt with an escrow company in that region. So we're waiting to see what their sort of agreement looks like. But it is in the contract; they have to escrow. Yeah.
Okay, I don't like asking about money, but I guess it's one of the things that has to.
It's standard now. I mean, apart from, not to go into too many, unless it's a major sort of promoter, a matchroom type level thing, a Sky, a DAZN, with big reputation and letters of guarantee behind it. It has to be an escrow these days. You've seen what's happened. We've always done it. Why not do it now? Especially like you say, it's not Floyd paying, but Floyd will be getting a lot of money, and so the promoters need to be able to afford to pay everybody. So was it not Floyd who's paying the money? It's Global Titans.
So for the Logan Paul situation, was that Floyd not paying Logan, or was that Showtime not paying?
I don't know what they agreed. It sounded a bit of a mess, didn't it? The way it was, there was a point in this agreement actually where obviously I said about Floyd already having that contract with Global Titans but no opponent. That's caused a few issues with branding and things because Floyd in that agreement had his promotional company as the lead logo, if you like. and no one else's sort of promotional logos allowed or teams logos allowed on the posters. And because that was in that contract, now it's come over to this one. You'll probably notice there's a couple of different versions of the post, just the logo. So, for example, our logo isn't on what Floyd's posting. We could have taken his logo off ours if he wanted to, but we don't care. It's nice to have a Mayweather logo on it, isn't it? So that's what we're posting with both. But what was the question?
It was about who paid Logan Paul.
Oh, Logan. So I don't know the setup. So it would have been. So yeah, he would have placed himself as the promotional company and done the deal with Showtime. It was on Showtime, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he would have taken the power to make sure all the money filtered through, and then he took his portion before passing it on. That's how it would have worked. I would never have done that. I'd have made sure, just like we did with DAZN and anything else, the money is, you're contracted yourself to the people who are paying. That in this instance, Logan should have been contracted with Showtime. I don't know whether it was that, and he's just blaming Floyd for not getting paid as much as he thought he got. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, whether he did get paid, but he just thought, oh, hang on a minute, I should have got more. I think the pay-per-view numbers are wrong. I don't actually know the crux of it. The fact he's saying Floyd hasn't paid him makes me think that Showtime have paid Mayweather Promotions, and it's Mayweather Promotions who have contracted with Logan, which is risky.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I guess Floyd said he would get paid in the very end. But now it's Deji covered. We'll talk about one of the other fighters, Gibb. Obviously had a good win out of Austin Broom. When he got, you a little bit worried?
Not really. Of course you are. You go, oh crap, I've seen this before. Literally, I'm there in the corner with the guys, and you know the situation. We were sort of barricading ourselves in, and I was right literally on the canvas edge with Sam, our videographer, and when it happened, it looked a little bit of a freak one. It was a good shot, but if you remember, sort of Gibb caught the right hand between his gloves here, and Austin's momentum of his hand trying to get his hand out the way and Gibb trying to hold on to it just pulled him enough to the left here where it gave him the shot. And I thought it wasn't necessarily a brilliant combination by Austin, and normally Gibb wouldn't have got hit by that. It was just the way his sort of stance got shifted because his glove got caught on Austin's. And so when I saw it, I thought, oh, okay, that wasn't just a clear defensive lapse. That was a little bit of an anomaly. So I wasn't worried. And the way he bounced up and he just looked over at Abdul, who stood right next to me, and Leon, and he just looked over and they went, chill. And he was like, yeah, whatever. And he was just with it completely. He's his fitness is so good, and his confidence is so strong. It would have just been, right, well, I'm back up on my feet, let's go. So yeah, he didn't look shaken at all by it, whereas he did against Jake Paul, because he didn't know, he'd never been knocked down. It was all very new to him, wasn't it? He was in a bit of a rabbit in a headlight situation. In this instance, it was like, I'm up, let's go. My turn. Yeah, I wasn't worried. Only for the second he went down. Then as soon as he was up, it was like, nah, no problem.
Yeah, and now it's all good. Just want to talk about, we haven't heard much from him in a while. Obviously, he played the Simon charity match the past weekend. Are you looking to get him out in January on the KSI Logan card?
Not in America, no. Probably not that one. He wants to come back in the UK next, and obviously the Misfits don't have a UK one. Obviously they've got October. That's in 2 weeks' time. It's too soon. That's Jay Swingler's. It's a non-pay-per-view card as well, so the budget isn't heavy enough to add someone late on like Gibb. Then they've got the Austin, Texas one, again similar sort of situation, but that headline's set. Too late to add Gibb on that, and he's no way is he going out for a final camp, and so soon after it was a really hellish long double camp with the medical plus the whole year build-up. He's been training since January. There was no way he's going out to Texas. and again, the budget was spent on those two Misfits events. The January one, maybe, but when you've got KSI and Logan as headline and co-main event, do you really need to waste?
A lot of people said.
Do you really need a Deji or a Gibb as well to sell that event? No, it feels a little bit of a waste. And will they want to blow absolutely all on this one extravaganza New Year event in America? Maybe they will, and maybe we'll progress those talks with Mam soon. But the feeling is, obviously Deji's got business to do in November. Gibb we can talk about, but I think the more likely thing is a UK UK fight next for Gibb. He's done 3 US ones in a row. The first thing he said to me as he finished out the McBroom fight, he said that wasn't worth any money. What I mean is it wasn't worth the money I got, and it could have been I could have got loads more, and it still wasn't worth it. It's been a hell of a year, and having to deal in America and do everything we've gone through to get that license and everything, it was very, very, very taxing. He just wants to come home, where his fans have been wanting him. He's very UK centric. He's got a good US audience, but he needs he could sell out UK in the same way as Deji can, and these other guys, obviously JJ easily can, but I mean in that next sort of tier, he needs his own event headlining in the UK at some stage next, I think.
Certainly, I did. As I said that question, I did think, oh, hang on a sec. He did put a tweet out about 12 hours ago.
He did.
Wanting to fight in the UK next, but who do you think he could fight next? So who do you think he should share the ring with?
There's quite a few options, I think, coming up, aren't there? Everyone's talking about Slim, but he doesn't need to go into another absolute bloodbath fight next. Come back in the UK. He has got options. There's a few names being chucked around. There's winners of Tempers and Wasabis. There's still Slim. There's maybe Salt Pappies, these sort of guys. I still think a few of those guys have got a way to go to get onto Gibb on his radar to have a shot at him, because Gibbs got really, he's got a lot more to lose than they have. But not that that's a problem. And Gibb, as you've seen, will fight anyone. If he's going to fight someone good and strong, he's going to need another camp for it. Or he's fighting someone sooner who's perhaps he feels, I don't quite need the Austin McBroom level of camp, and I can choose a different opponent. So I guess there are these names. There's other, Woodley's name always gets thrown into every conversation, and there's a few others I can't tell you about yet who we're talking about as well. But he's in no rush right now. But you'll be first to know, Fred, if anything transpires.
Yeah, I'll make a few calls, then I'll find out.
You won't find out.
Anything else, Liam? Oh yeah, what I do want to ask you about. Obviously, Misfits is the main kind of crossover boxing influencer platform, providing boxing with promotional company, of course. Kingpin, any news on them at all?
Yeah, they're always interested, I think, in getting back into the space and building on what they've done. I think Misfits have obviously stolen a great march. I know Kingpin are reevaluating with investors and bits and pieces, and they've got a few guys signed to them. I think people like that Ed Matthews, and they've signed a few other people from that previous little event there. So they'll be looking to do some stuff soon, I think. But they're always in touch, asking about the same things. Oh, what's Gibbs up to? What's Deji up to? What's what? And it's the same answer at the moment. Deji's busy with Mayweather. We'll see where that goes. And Gibb wants to fight in the UK next, but not right now.
Do you know have a show before the end of the year?
Who? Kingpin?
Yeah.
They did actually book an event. They did book a venue, but I think they've released it now because different things have happened with Deji and other opportunities.
Yeah, I think November.
They may end up doing
the date. In November. I heard November. I don't know what I'm going to say. In November was the targeted date to have that Kingpin show.
It was an end of October, early November discussion at one point. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that.
In Taylor Holder and Bryce Hall, do you think they'll have a box again?
Yeah, I think both will. I think definitely Taylor Holder. I think I saw Taylor. Taylor was out actually. He came to the Gibb. He turned up late. Actually, he missed it, but we saw him as we were leaving the press conference in LA. And I tell you what, the man's put some weight on, and not weight, bad weight, proper weight. Like he looks a lot more solid now. He's quite a tall chap, isn't he, as well? And having seen some of his footage, he loves the sport. You can see. I think he'd love to get back in it if someone gave him the opportunity. As far as Bryce, I never know. So Bryce has been touted and talked to, and Bryce would be the option with Deji, by the way, potentially on that January card in Misfits. Or his own separate one afterwards. We've not got that far discussion with Mams yet. But Bryce Hall is the obvious one who's a little bit on hold now while Mayweather's going on, but he's not going anywhere. It's just whether he actually means it, whether he actually will fight. He's always got an excuse. Oh, I'm doing a film, or I'm doing a documentary, or I'm busy on TikTok or whatever. You do wonder if he actually would end up, and he prices himself out of agreements as well. I think whether that's on purpose, or whether it's just like just to see if someone's stupid enough to spend $1 million on him. You know, having had one fight, one loss, not the biggest of draw and engagement when you're on TikTok platforms, as we found out with Social Gloves 1. So I think people like him because they think, okay, he's a good personality. He's not going to be that massive of a threat to break into the top tier. He may be. Let's see what he's been doing for these last 6 months. But will he actually take a fight versus a Deji? Maybe. Versus a Gibb? Maybe not. How serious is he? I don't know. Will he be ready out of his movie season by January? I don't know. But I'd like to think he'd be back into it because he'll bring some good banter, wouldn't he? And with everybody else's platforms around him in this YouTube influencer world, I think they could really amplify what he does because he's not that great at it on TikTok. Taylor Holder the same. He's gone through his trials and tribulations in the last few months, and I don't think he's particularly well liked in different circles, but that's great for a narrative, isn't it? So yeah, I think Taylor's more likely than Bryce, you
know. Well, I did see that video. I think it's you guys were at some sort of stadium or sort of press conference, and I think your sunglasses. You look kind of badass in there. Your sunglasses on, your little suit. You're smart.
Oh right, yeah. That's where we bumped into him. We spoke to him for a few minutes after and before that. Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't just like a 10-second on camera thing.
No, we bumped into literally in the corridor. It was by the lifts going back down from the rooftop where we did the press conference, and yeah, he had a good chat with Gibber, and then yeah, he was really nice to him and really enthused about everything Gibb was doing and very complimentary to him. So there was no hard feelings at all from the loss. He actually was quite honest now. He says, "Man, you really smacked me up." He was really honest about how good Gibb was against him. But obviously before that, egos and storylines, he couldn't admit that to camera. But while we were talking, he was really quite. He made it how clearly he was backing Gibb, and he actually thought he would beat Austin.
Well, we'll definitely find out in a few months. I'm sure there'll be plenty of events next year because obviously it gets bigger and bigger. But Liam, after the Zoom is about 6 minutes less from here, so I have to let you go. But
yeah, man.
I'm sure I'll catch you soon, mate.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks for calling.